Come on, try again. Okay, one more time.
It is different.
Okay. Woo! Yay! Okay. Wow. Okay, let's say the Shema. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh, your Elohim, is one. And you shall love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all of your might, and with all of your being, and with all of your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahweh, your Elohim, brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Ishak, and to Jacob, to give you great and good cities which you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of goods which you did not fill, and wells dug which you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. And you shall eat and be satisfied. Be on guard, lest you forget Yahweh, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. Fear Yahweh, your Elohim, and serve him, and swear by his name. Amen. Okay, guys, are y'all ready?
I'm losing my
Don't lose your prayer song.
My shawl.
That's your covering.
right. I need to buy that little chain clip that holds it together.
Yes.
Nice. One big blast.
Amen. And Shabbat Shalom. And welcome back to the Way of Truth through Torah. Welcome with us today. We're going to be studying judgments. And guys, listen. Has our country come under judgment? Huh? We'll pray in just a second. Has our country come under judgment?
Yes.
It has. Okay, and our message today is wake up, people. Wake up, America. Wake up, everyone. Because read your scriptures. And I'm not talking about the back sliver, as G. Stephen Simon says. Not this part. Read this part to understand this part. Guys, if you're not reading the front of the Bible, you don't know what the judgments are, and you don't know why you're being judged. But we have to repent. We have to turn back to Yah. Excuse me for this. Hallelujah. Kalul, how are you, my brother? But we've got to turn back to Yah. And this is what this message is all about today. He's giving the rest of his judgments. He's giving his judgments to his people. We are his people, guys. And those judgments have not been done away with. Those commandments have not been done away with. And we've got to get back to them. Before we get started, who else got the sefer today?
Me.
Okay, I'm needing someone to read Sirach 4:28. So for everybody who's new to this podcast and to the Way of Truth through Torah, and Torah is who?
Yahusha.
It's Yahusha. It's our Savior. For those of you who are new to this study that we have is all about studying out Scripture. For what, guys?
Truth.
We're searching for truth. And I want you to hear what Valerie's going to tell us from Sirach. Valerie's like, you want me to give a message today?
Yeah, what is
And for our live streamers out there, guys, I want to share something with y'all. Our family has suffered a loss this week, and Valerie has lost her spouse, her friend, her best friend that she took care of and went home to every day. And he passed away last Sunday, and we had his funeral yesterday. And he is very missed, but he was what does the word say about marriage? The two become one. She's missing half of her body, half of her mind. So please, live streamers, please keep her in prayer and lift her up. But at the same time, it has been a glorious week to celebrate the life of Jerry. And we believe with all our heart that he's gone home in a glorious way. So
Not hurting anymore.
not hurting, he's at peace. And guys, this afternoon we are going to go into Ezra, the second book of Ezra, and we're going to study Ezra 7. Bethany has reposted Ezra 7, the study of what happens after we die. We are going to go into that live streaming this evening because there's a lot of things in there that we need to hear, because who is losing? Listen, listen, listen. Look around. How many families do you know that are losing loved ones right and left? It's everywhere.
I talked to a young woman today, and she's lost 5 family members.
I've lost 2 to the COVID here in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So guys, listen. Valerie's lost how many? Just
2.
Valerie's lost 2, and this isn't counting our friends.
No.
So
It's
this virus is very, very real, and it's nasty, and it's man-made, because it was made where? In the
China, Wuhan.
Ooh, Wuhan.
But it has ties to Bill Gates, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. So it is a video text me while we're live streaming. We're not going to talk to you. In fact, I don't do video text anyway. So if you're going to try to call, don't do it. Don't waste your time.
Yeah,
Dear
a lot of
sister.
laboratories in Wuhan have ties to Bill Gates.
Yes. Kalul, do me a favor. Go to your messenger on YouTube and messenger me your physical address, and I'm going to send you 5 copies of the Scriptures Bible we read, and that way you can share with your friends. But I've got, I have 40 coming in. We'll send you 5, but I need your address. I've been wanting to get your address, but you've never sent it. So send me your physical address where I can ship something, and I will get those to you. But it is a Scriptures Bible, and I finally had to duct tape mine, but it's solid gold, which is what I'm gonna tell you, my Torah is solid gold to me. This is more precious than gold and silver.
Yes, it is.
the word of Yah, and it brings life, and it protects, and it heals, and we're gonna see that, guys. We're gonna see that in Scripture today. Valerie, have you got Sirach?
What chapter?
It is
Read it out of the Sefer.
okay. It is Sirach 4, verse 28, and I'm going to turn this around to Valerie. And I'm going to, while Valerie is reading that, I'm going to bring a chair up here because I'm going to have readers coming up and helping me.
You got it?
Got it. Look how good I am. I'll probably limp this afternoon.
I'm going to start with 26.
Do, please.
Okay, this is Sirach 4:26. Be not ashamed to confess your sins, and force not the course of the river. Make not yourself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. Strive for the truth unto death, and Yahuwah shall fight for you.
Strive for what?
Truth.
Okay, so guys, that is what our group is all about. What we do here at the Way of what? The Way of Truth. So we are, baby, thank you so much. I just got coffee delivered to me from the cutest little girl in the whole room. Guys, oh, sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties. I don't know why we're spinning. But guys, what are we searching for? Why are we searching out Scripture? For truth. And what does it say? He will do what?
He'll make our days long and
He will prolong your days and make you prosperous.
Wow.
For those who are seeking and searching out the truth. And that's what we do 24/7. She's tired.
Yeah.
She's so tired.
I read it, but
I know. This is going to be one of those days. So, guys, today we're starting in Exodus 21:1. And this is going to be just Exodus 21:1. But this is going to be a really good study of just the laws. Mm-hmm. It's the rest of the law that Moshe received when he went up. And Bethany, you want to come up and sit beside me? Because I'm going to get you to read once we get started here, I'm going to get you to read, and then I will get Seth up here, and Charles, and Dennis, and we're just going to, Jerome, we're going to get everyone up here to go through this, because this is just very simply the reading of the Torah. Hi.
Hey.
So this is Bethany Green. 21:1. Are y'all ready?
Amen.
Everybody's ready. Okay, these are the right rulings which you are to set before them. When you buy a Hebrew, when you buy a Hebrew servant, he serves 6 years, and in the 7th year he goes free for naught. He doesn't have to pay for anything. Guys, listen, what did he just say? When you buy a brother.
Hebrew brother.
When we read about the brother in Scripture, he's talking about the Hebrew brother. The one that is your Hebrew brother, the one that believes like you, is covenanted like you. He worships Yah just like you. So he's literally your spiritual brother, right? So when you buy a Hebrew brother because he's run into hard times and he's having to sell himself to you for work, you work him for 6 years. In the 7th year, he goes free. So it's kind of like you rented him for 6 years. He's not yours. He's Yah's child. So he goes free and for nothing.
Vicky, it's like us having the 6,000 years that we live here on earth, and then we go into the 7th millennium.
That is totally it. So we work 6 days. We rest the 7th.
That's right.
With our Hebrew brother, you work him 6 days. Guess what you do in the 7th?
Yes.
You allow him to go free. You set him free, and he gets that year of rest. That's it. That is us. Okay, in chapter 21, verse 3. If he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children are her master's, and he goes out by himself. That would be sad, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. If the servant truly says, I love my master, and I love my wife and my children, let me not go out free, then his master shall bring him before Elohim. This is a witness here. He will bring his servant before Elohim and bring him to the doorpost of that door, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So it would be his sign. If you had a slave back then and it was a brother that you were supposed to be letting go free, and you happened to have given him one of your maidservants for his wife and she had children, he was going to be leaving solo unless you said take them all and go. But basically here, you're putting a threshold covenant. You're making a threshold covenant with him right there at the doorpost, and all through his ear. I don't know how big that all was, but that sounds like it'd be painful, doesn't it? But think about that. The blood of your ear is going to be on his doorpost. Isn't that, it's a blood covenant, is what it is.
And Yeshua is going to be at the door waiting for us.
That's
with
exactly
his blood
right.
to cover us.
That is exactly right. Okay, and so Bethany, you want to start at 21:7 and read through 19. And if I have anything, I'll go. Oh, I'll just go.
I'll just do this.
Okay, yeah, I'll cover your book so you can't read.
And when a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she does not go out as the male servants do. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master, who has engaged her to himself, then he shall let her be ransomed. He shall have no authority to sell her to a foreign people because of him deceiving her. And if he has engaged her to his son, he is to do to her as is the right of daughters. If he takes another wife, her food, her covering, and her marriage rights are not to be diminished.
So, can y'all imagine selling your one of your daughters because you can't make enough money? That would be hard. But you're selling to him for what purpose? He's probably going to make her his wife, right? More than likely. But don't you love how Yah says, if you bring her in and for some reason you find that there's something about her that you don't care for, you have to ransom her back to her daddy. So it may not be this year, but it may be next year when her daddy can afford it. But you have to ransom her back. You can't just sell her. You couldn't just take this daughter of a Hebrew man and take her to the town square and sell her to an Egyptian. Wasn't done. Yah protects his people. And it's
Yep.
and listen, who are the Hebrew people? who is he talking to here? Everyone who came out of Egypt. Guys, listen, it was a mixed multitude. It was Israelites, and it was also Egyptians. Any slave labor they had there that decided they were leaving too, that it was a huge mixed multitude. So everyone who chose to leave and come out of her, my people, guys, that's his kids. Those are the ones who are covenanting with him. Okay, thank you.
Choice.
Yes.
And if he does not do these three for her, then she shall go out for naught without silver. He who strikes a man so that he dies shall certainly be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait, but Elohim delivered him into his hand, then I shall appoint for you a place where he is to flee. And when a man acts presumptuously against his neighbor to kill him by treachery, you are to take him even from my slaughter place to die.
Ooh.
And he who strikes his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. And he who kidnaps a man and sells him, or if he is found in his hand, shall certainly be put to death.
Hold on just a second. Guys, listen. What is it the fifth commandment that says you will honor your father and your mother? If you're slapping or striking your parent, what is that a sign of? Dishonor, disrespect. What,
Rebellion.
Dennis?
I keep smelling something. Is there an oven on or?
I don't know.
Right.
Our Snoop is going down to check it out.
It's associated with heat.
No, it's not that. I smell
Part of
it.
the heater.
Do you smell it?
Not real strong, but it's not that.
We may have a fire. We're going to wake up too. So our Father is so just. Don't you like how he says, if you strike a man and it's because Yah delivered him to you. Guys, who's in charge of death? The Father. Listen, not one person, not even a sparrow dies. And we're going to read that this evening.
Ephesians 1:11.
That's exactly it.
God decides our time of death.
And not even a sparrow. I mean, that's what Ephesians 1:11 says. Not even a sparrow dies without Yah saying, it's your time, little sparrow.
And you think about that. I mean, that's pretty,
That goes deep.
very deep.
And it's
If he-
very hard for everyone to accept that. But even
We don't understand his understanding.
we can't.
No.
We are so fleshly and stuck on this earth that we have trouble understanding it.
But just think how important one little bird is to him. I mean, one little bird is that important to him, and he knows about it
Imagine how important it is for us.
for us.
So it says here, if he did not lie in wait, but Elohim delivered him into his hand, then I shall appoint for you a place of to flee. He's going to appoint cities of refuge. He's not doing it in this week's Torah portion, but by next week, he's going to have cities of refuge set up. I believe it's next week. But if it was an accident, you have a place to run to because he actually allowed this to happen. No one dies without Yah approving of it. And we have to
Control of
remember
everything.
that. I mean, that's hard, but we have to remember that. Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
So when it says strikes, that means kill. What is strikes?
That.
Okay.
Disrespect.
And
On
curse.
that.
When it says he who curses his father, it would be like back talking or like saying rude things or what?
It would be cursing them, like
Cussing at him?
cursing them to,
Oh, like-
yeah.
Okay.
When someone curses you and they say, may you go to,
Speak life to it.
instead of speaking life, they're speaking death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're speaking death. Thank you, Seth. That's a good way to put it.
Definitely.
Speaking death over, yes. That is
Power
good.
of the tongue.
The power of life and death is in the tongue. And so how are you going to treat your parents? Why are we to respect our parents? And listen, guys, it doesn't matter if they're the best parents in the world or the worst parents in the world. His word and his commandment here doesn't take into account if your parents were mean and ugly and rude to you, if they abused you, if they mistreated you. Listen, some of these daddies had to sell their daughters just to make ends meet. This does not say if you had a bad parent, you don't have to do that. You still have to respect them,
They gave us one.
regardless. That is totally it, Valerie.
Well,
They brought you into this world.
if we're gonna respect our parents, then we're gonna respect him.
It is a perfect picture of the respect that we're to show to our Father, Yah.
Exactly.
He is our daddy. That was a good question.
Okay. So 18. And when men strive together and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist, and he does not die but is confined to his bed, if he rises again and walks about outside with his staff, then he who struck him shall be innocent. He only pays for lost time and sees to it that he is completely healed. And when a man strikes his male or female servant with a rod so that he dies under his hand, he shall certainly be avenged. But if he remains alive a day or two, he is not avenged, for he is his property.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, if you're my property and I strike you and you die in a couple of days, I don't get any punishment. That's interesting.
It is
That's
interesting.
one of those laws. Grant's looking at me like, wow, could be dangerous. It would certainly keep you from back talking your owner, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because if he strikes you, you're not going to be. Go ahead.
I'm her property?
No, you're her son.
So yes.
This is talking about servants.
Yeah, this would be a servant, someone that mom and dad went out and purchased, and they brought them in to work for them. That's what this is talking about.
Yeah.
Get this message off there. So, okay, very good. Keep going.
And when men strive, and they shall smite a pregnant woman, and her children come out, yet there is no injury, he shall certainly be punished accordingly, as the woman's husband lays upon him, and he shall give through the judges.
Okay, what does that mean? A pregnant woman is standing nearby. There's a fight going on. One of the men just reaches out and strikes the woman so that the child comes out. The child is born and he is alive. That's what it's saying. He's born and he's alive. It wasn't necessarily the time for this child to be born. It's going to be a premature birth. But it says,
Repayment.
yeah, there is no injury and he shall certainly be, but he's going to be punished. You don't, boys, men, you do not strike a female. You don't. I grew up in a house like that.
There was actually a boy yesterday that hit a girl in the nose.
What for?
Basketball accident.
An accident. Okay, so when it's an accident,
No, like the girl started pushing him because the basketball really hit her in the face,
uh-huh.
and that's like, push me one more time, see what happens, and he punched her.
So that was premeditated.
Yeah.
He thought about that because he threatened her.
So is a girl allowed to punch the boy?
Nobody's allowed to assault anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody should hit anyone. But guys, look at yourselves. How much more powerful are you than a female? Except for you, Seth. No, I'm kidding. I saw the huge muscles.
I could beat you with one hand. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Love you, babe.
Okay, you're done. Go sit down.
Glad.
Go back to your husband. And we'll see what happens back there. Okay, so guys, what is y'all setting up here?
Rules.
It's like a bunch of kids in.
Community rules.
It's community rules. It's like when all my kids come together. This is what you can and can't do. You can't hurt each other. You're not supposed to hurt each other. And if you do, there's consequences, right? He is setting up a good set of rules. Valerie, you want to come read?
We get all
It's going to be a lot more work than what she thought.
Beautiful dress.
Thank you. I have a
Don't
beautiful
you look
hat.
gorgeous
I have a
today?
new hat on. That's a hat she gave me.
Nice.
Yes.
What is it called? A mitzpah?
That's what I've got on.
I bet she can't say that.
No,
Can
I
you say it
can't.
3 times? No, I'm kidding.
Can't even say it once.
Okay.
Size must be good.
Okay, Valerie, start at 23.
Okay. And when men strive, and they shall smite a pregnant woman and her children. We read that, didn't we?
Yeah, 23. The other.
Oh, I'm sorry. The other
Okay, the
23.
other 23.
But if there is injury, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, lash for lash. And when a man strikes the eye of his male or female servant and destroys it, he is to let him go free for the sake of his eye.
Okay, that is putting this idiom of eye for eye, tooth for tooth, limb for limb. It's putting it into perspective.
Yes.
If you strike someone, you cause their eye to be put out. What's that eye worth to them? Because you're going to have to repay. Guys, in our world today, what we do is we go, oh, I'm so sorry, I struck you and put your eye out, and we go on about our business. There's no repayment, is there? But Yah's rules are different. Listen, our Father's instructions and His ways are totally different from ours, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So the right thing to do is to take care of them. And you may be doing something for, if I accidentally put out Valerie's eye, I might be going over to her house every day and doing her books for her.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? You're going to do something special to help them get through, because that eye has cost her something.
Mm-hmm.
It's cost her the ability to see everything.
And what people need to acknowledge is that it's not just because the community demands it out of you. It got to come out of your heart.
That's right.
Jerome, you hit it right there. It is all about the heart. If the heart isn't involved in making this reparation to the injury, you don't get credit for it. You don't. So that is what it's all about, is where's your heart?
I mean, even if you do it and you don't have your heart in it, you're going to do half of what you're supposed to do, and you're going to do it all wrong, and it's going to make things probably even worse.
That's right. That's right. Think what doing something for the injured party, think what it does for their heart when they see your heart, because it does. It will change them. So even though they've lost something, what you've done has more than repaired it.
Well, we look at Yeshua on the stake, and to the people that had just put him there, he said, "Forgive them." And that would be a hard thing to do, and that right there, that's the way we're supposed to have the heart of Yeshua.
Can you imagine the pain that he's in,
Oh,
hanging from that cross, bearing the sins of every one of us, guys? Every one of our sins were hanging there with him.
doing it for us.
So can you imagine the pain he was in when he said, Abba, forgive them. Forgive them. That's very true.
27.
26.
And when a man strikes the eye of his male or female servant and destroys it, he is to let him go free for the sake of his eye. And if he knocks out the tooth of his male or female servant, he is to let him go free for the sake of his tooth. And when an ox gores a man or a woman to death, then the ox shall certainly be stoned, and its flesh is not eaten, and the owner of the ox is innocent.
Why would its flesh not be eaten?
Because it was stoned to death.
There you go.
That's not a humane kill.
Exactly.
Okay, so what is a kosher kill?
Slit the throat.
Slit the throat. So even
The
though,
animal has to be at peace too. It can't be like all excited and fearful and all that stuff.
when you've got an animal that's being stoned, his adrenaline is coursing through his body.
I mean, it takes multiple stones to kill an animal.
Yeah, so a stoning would be a longer procedure. He's going to be excited. He's going to be fighting for survival. So the flesh is not the same. So guys, we get really confused when we're, hey, Stephen Tranum, saw you yesterday. Now I get to see your name today. He's on with us.
Hey,
Valerie's waving. Oh, Valerie, you're short.
I'm sorry.
If it happens nowadays,
Can't help
I'd rather just throw a bullet at it one time and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. But even at that, even with the bullet, there's going to be a long term. I mean, it's going to take longer for it to die. So the kosher killing, what makes an animal kosher or edible when it's killed, is literally the slitting of the throat, because every animal
Well, when you go
that's
deer hunting,
called food, they bleed out within 4 seconds.
when you go deer hunting, you shoot it with an arrow or a bullet too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it takes a little longer. Sometimes you got to go up there and slit their throat. And before I do that, I do a little prayer on them and then slit their throat.
And you think about that in the spiritual
That's
realm
hard.
with us. when things happen, what it's doing to our spiritual person in us.
Yes.
The damage that it's doing. I mean, it's bad.
Yes, it is.
And that's kind of a picture that he's trying to paint for us, that everything is very important to him, even an animal.
Especially the way it's killed.
Exactly.
Especially if you're going to eat it. If it's going to be eaten,
It
can't-
contaminates the body.
That's right. The adrenaline itself brings the meat to a place that it shouldn't be eaten. And I find that fascinating because even once you've shot it, it could be in shock. But I don't know, it just, the way we're slaughtering right now is not
But he gives us
kosher or
such
humane.
distinct rules and how to do everything. And we think, well, that's not important. It is in his order of things because he made us. And he made us and the animals in a certain way. And, you know, there's no sense in questioning because his ways are perfect.
Yes,
and,
they are.
And his order is perfect. So we have to just say, may not understand that, but that's the way I need to do it. And we've gotten so far from it.
Oh, we have. Yes, we have. That is a good way to put that. Okay. That was a good discussion. I hope our live streamers are understanding. So, guys, the food laws, and I say laws, it's the food instructions, are in Leviticus 11. It will tell you what of the animals are food and what's not. And if it's not food, you don't eat it. So it's not going to matter how it's killed anyway, right? Though Yah doesn't want brutality with the killing of animals.
No.
So if you've got an animal that's running about killing other people, he needs to be put down. Okay. And
Or hurting other people or livestock. I mean, livestock or even property, man.
you know, I've seen bulls. I mean that we've got a ranch. You've seen those. We had one cow. She was a Bramer. She would just as soon run over you as to look at you. And that kind of animal, we couldn't get her out of the pasture fast enough. And she tried to kill us when we were trying to get her
I mean,
out.
they're a living creature just like us. Some of them
Survival.
also have mental issues as well.
She had mental issues.
And they survival, you know,
It's
it's
like
just
dogs too. There's certain dogs that just are very aggressive and shouldn't be allowed.
That's right. And so the just as we are responsible for our children, we are responsible for our children and our children's actions. We also are responsible for our animals and our animals' actions. And that's what Yah is saying here. You know, just because it's an animal doesn't mean there's no responsibility to be had. If you've got an animal and he's been known to gore other people, or he's been known to get out and run through the streets goring little children, you're responsible for that.
Tearing
And you
up
have to pay.
cars and
Tearing up cars and throwing
trash cans around.
the laundry off the laundry line. Okay, Valerie.
29. However, if the ox was previously in the habit of goring and its owner has been warned and he has not kept it confined so that it has killed a man or a woman, the ox is stoned and its owner also is put to death. Woo. That's responsibility.
Wake up, America.
Yeah.
Listen, if we went back to this set of rules, which really we're under it, we should be under it. We are not doing it because it seems very primitive, doesn't it? But if Dennis has a bull and it's already killed one person, and it gets out, then Dennis is responsible for that bull. So we put the bull down and we put the Dennis down.
We got a good friend of ours.
Dennis is like, you're reading next.
We got a good friend of ours that just hit a cow, and she's been having trouble with the law over it because supposedly they're putting all the fault on her. So yeah, we live in the crooked law system too.
So
And then the neighbor who had the cow, he knew, everybody knew it was his cow. He even admitted it was his cow, but he doesn't want to be responsible for it.
but the law says that if you
Yes,
are
right.
letting your livestock
Even the fire
run loose,
department, police department, everybody's charging her for it being her fault, even though she hit, the bull was in the middle of the road when she hit it. Yep, I told her she needs to get a lawyer. I mean, that's the easy case to win.
Things are
yeah,
so upside
because
down.
there's
The
law.
only thing though is that she isn't illegal.
Oh,
But there is lawyers that help illegal people with DWIs and stuff like that. So if a foolish man who has a DWI can get a lawyer, I'm pretty sure a woman that's sober and was on the right can get a lawyer. You know what I mean?
they did. Obviously, they did a blood test. So yeah, she should. I would say she does need. Any good attorneys out there want a case? Just saying. It's in Texas. Okay.
30.
Okay.
If a sin covering is laid upon him, then he shall give the ransom of his life, whatever is laid on him. Whether it has gored a son or gored a daughter, according to this right ruling, it is done to him. If the ox gores a male or female servant, he is to give to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox is stoned. And when a man opens a pit, or if a man digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit is to repay. He is to give silver to their owner, and the dead beast is his. And when the ox of a man smites the ox of his neighbor, and it dies, then they shall sell the live ox, divide the silver from it, and also divide the dead ox. Or if it was known that the ox was previously in the habit of goring, and its owner has not kept it confined, he shall certainly repay ox for an ox, while the dead beast is his.
So, guys, it's a just.
Yes.
Our Father has a set of scales, and they are so just and they are so balanced, so much unlike the justice system that we're talking about with Jerome's friend, or the woman that he knows, not necessarily his friend, but this woman that ran over a cow and suddenly she's being charged. It probably destroyed her vehicle.
Oh, it did.
So she's had a loss of a vehicle, and now the man's wanting her to pay probably for his bull, and it was on a public road. So,
But you
God's
see how
sense of
everything's
justice-
gotten so out of kilter, and
Everything.
it's because we're not being obedient to the laws that he set out. I
That's
mean, the
exactly
simple ones.
it. That is
And
exactly
it elevates. It gets to where it's not just animals, it's people.
That's it. Everything is skewed today.
Yes,
Okay, Valerie, you want to keep reading?
sure. 22, verse 1. When a man steals an ox or a sheep and shall slaughter it or sell it, he repays 5 cattle for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep.
How just is that? If you're going to steal from me, if you steal $1 from me, you're going to have to return how much? $5
But is that person going to go and steal some more sheep?
to repay you.
Yeah.
Could be, but see how just. What is that 5%? It also pertains to it's a fifth. So if you are tithing to Yah and you take your tithe back, you have to add a fifth to it.
That's right.
Did y'all know that? It's the same. It's the same. It's the same percentage. It's like 20%.
That's interesting. It's double 10.
Ooh. That is interesting. We could do a study on that.
You could do a study on that.
Next, once we get through September or October, when we finish our Torah portion, guys, we're going on into the prophets, and we're going to go through Scripture for our next year, because our class is pretty much solidified now. We know who our class is. There's not a lot of changing about. We've got our onliners that are, they pose questions and interact with us. So we're going forward. I'm excited about that. Okay, I'm sorry, Valerie.
Verse 2. If the thief is found breaking in and he is struck so that he dies, there is no guilt for his bloodshed. If the sun has risen on him, there is guilt for his bloodshed. He shall certainly repay. If he has not the means, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the theft is indeed found alive in his hand, whether it is an ox or donkey or sheep, he repays double.
Two times. So even if that item that you stole is recovered, you're going to pay double, at least double.
That's interesting.
It's just,
So
guys.
so that people can recognize it's not worth it. So you're going to end up paying double for it.
It doesn't say what the otherwise is if you don't repay, but there would have to be a justice system. And most of these people were in very small villages, right? So everybody knew them.
They have to sell themselves, like when Hebrews,
Well, that's what it said.
Oh, does it?
Then he shall be sold for his theft.
There you go.
In
Okay.
verse 3. So
Bad
there is-
me. So there is an otherwise. Okay.
And probably that's why I doubled. Okay, verse 5. When a man lets a field or vineyard be grazed bare and lets loose his livestock, and it feeds in another man's field, he repays from the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. When fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes so that the stacked grain or standing grain or the field is consumed, he who kindled the fire shall certainly repay. When a man gives silver or goods to his neighbor to guard, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he repays double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall be brought before Elohim to see whether he has put his hand into his neighbor's goods. For every matter of transgression, for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for garment, or for whatever is lost, which another claims to be his, let the matter of them both come before Elohim, and whomever Elohim declares wrong repays double to his neighbor. When a man gives to his neighbor a donkey, or ox, or sheep, or any beast to watch over, and it dies, or is injured, or is driven away while no one is looking, let an oath of Yahuwah be between them both, that he had not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept that, and he does not repay. But if it is indeed stolen from him, he repays to his owner. If it is torn to pieces, then let him bring it for evidence. He does not repay what was torn.
Guys, this really opens you up to the fact that you shouldn't be borrowing things.
Right.
And if your neighbor says, can I leave my dog with you? Would you watch over my puppy while I'm gone? There's responsibility there. I mean, you are responsible for that item. If they leave your car, if they're going out of town, would you watch my car, make sure that, you crank it every once in a while, take it on a joyride and wreck it, and guess what?
You're responsible.
You're responsible. Are y'all hearing anything in here that is unjust or would be hard to keep? I mean, this is a very simple Torah portion today. He's saying, this is right. These are the right rulings, the just rulings, the righteous rulings of Yah. And this isn't all of them. There's 613. Not all of them apply, but
If we could learn to abide by these, then it would go into the harder things. I mean, you got to understand the little things to be able to do what we have to do. No murdering. You got to get down here.
that's right. Start with the simple. These are simple.
You can do simple
You don't
things.
take from others.
And like Yahushua says in Matthew that even those who break the smallest of these commandments will be the least in my kingdom.
That's right.
What's the very smallest, very least of all the commandments?
You told us when you get the eggs out of the chicken or something like that.
Don't kill the don't kill the mama with the eggs,
That's right.
Or the pheasant. Or
'Cause you want
quail.
it
or the pheasant, or the quail, or the chicken, or
Turkey.
the turkey. Big,
Alligator.
Em are big eggs. So guys, Yah cares even about the heart of that little bird. And you could go back to the sparrow. If you're gonna, I don't know if a sparrow is considered food or not. But if you were going to eat a bird, let's say you found a dove sitting on a nest. If you said, okay, wow, I can take that dove and eat it, and you took the eggs with it, you're gonna have meat and eggs. You just wiped out that dove's generation. She won't be procreating.
Right.
So take the eggs, leave the mama. Or if you're going to take the mama. But Yah cares about even that mama's little heart.
That's right.
That just amazes me. Don't cook a baby in its mama's milk. Don't get a sheep. Don't get a little lamb, and then turn around and cook it in its mama's milk, or a baby kid.
Especially for the mama and baby.
Well, think about it. What nourished and grew this baby up is what you're cooking it in. The very thing, and trust me, I know about
And it's only-
milk.
And it's only breaking that commandment if you use specifically the mama's milk and the baby.
That's right.
When it's somebody else's milk.
Oh, and you know what? We're getting way off Torah, but I believe that we go into that one today. But that's where the Jews get the commandment of you can't have meat and milk.
Yeah.
You can't mix no meat and milk.
That's one of those added.
That's one of those Talmudic laws that they went way overboard.
To
Way
try to make
overboard.
them do the right thing.
McDonald's doesn't have cheeseburgers in Israel. Okay? You have to take your own cheese. Okay.
But through this, you see Yahuwah's mercy.
He is merciful.
I mean, even in the little things.
Yes. It's beautiful.
It's his heart.
It is beautiful.
Okay, we're on 15. Is that
Yes,
what-
yes, ma'am.
But if its owner was with it, he does not repay. If it was hired, he is entitled to the hire. And when a man entices a maiden who is not engaged and lies with her, he shall certainly pay the bride price for her to be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he pays according to the bride price of maidens. Do not allow a practicer of witchcraft to live.
Wow, he just goes straight into that. Here's another rule. If you got someone practicing witchcraft amongst you, kill them, put them to death.
What he said.
Can we do that though? Can we go through something like that?
You would be prosecuted. You would have to flee to a city of refuge.
Something, I think, was when the last witch was born, or
And,
When?
and
1960?
but
1960 something.
was that in Salem? Was that during the witch trials? That
Might be.
and that got so distorted about because they were accusing people, and those people, I'm sure,
False witness.
that's it. And we're gonna hit that today. Oh, I thought you had something
I
else
did
there.
have something to say. So if you do say you do have to kill them, or you do kill them, oh, that's a complicated.
There's a system
maybe
of
right there.
judges and
Because
stuff
if you
that
don't
was
kill
in
them,
place.
if you don't kill them, you're also breaking a commandment.
Because you have
What
not.
repercussions are that from? I guess your whole community will suffer.
Yeah, the whole community. Charles, you were saying something.
You would only kill them in the system that's set in place by Torah. There would be a system of judges and then witnesses. It'd be like a trial like we have today.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't kill them otherwise.
Yeah, but
Like,
in a
it's
trial
very
today,
hard
you
to
could.
Innocent on you.
In a trial today, you couldn't kill a witch anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean.
'Cause
Like, it'd be
everything's
more
changed.
similar to that.
Yes.
It's not just telling you to run up to people and kill them.
Right.
That is a very good point, Charles. So you
Cause-
shouldn't just run up and stab them to
Cause-
death or slit their throat.
They're dressed like Harry Potter.
It's
You
not
know? Or Halloween or something. No, you can't do that.
Okay.
Okay, 19. Anyone lying with a beast shall certainly be put to death.
No ifs, ands, or buts. You're sleeping with a beast.
Death.
You go through the trial, as Charles said, 2 or 3 witnesses. At the word of 2 or 3 witnesses, you're a
What if you're
goner.
the only
Those
witness?
witnesses throw the first stone to kill.
Absolutely, the
guilty
witnesses
party.
are the ones who throw the first stones to kill the one that has been
But what if
guilty.
you're the only witness? Do you still raise your voice?
If there's only one witness, you would raise your voice, but a person cannot be convicted on by
Judges
one
can't
witness.
convict on one witness.
Yeah, it has to be 2 or 3. And I don't know if that would be according to how the depth of the crime and the depth of the punishment, but 2 or 3 witnesses is what is required. Okay, Valerie.
Okay, 20. He who slaughters to an Elohim, little e, except to Yahuwah only, is put under the ban.
What does that mean?
Killed.
Killed.
Wiped out entirely.
Yeah.
Completely wiped out.
Yeah, even more so than just killed.
There would be all their stuff would be destroyed
Yeah.
as well.
So a good example of that is who? Amalek. Well, he hasn't been killed. He will be killed at the end
I
down.
was talking
But
about
Kohath,
Oh, yes,
help me.
in the wilderness.
Out in the wilderness, Dathan and was
the
it?
guy got speared.
That was Phineas that killed them. But when they were grumbling against Moshe,
And they heard this, whoever heard of the sheep or something, dying, and why, what is this I hear, they
Oh.
were supposed to put somebody under the ban.
to put him under the ban. Oh, is that what you were talking about? Okay, yes, that was a descendant of Amalek. That was the king. I can't remember his name. Agag. That's exactly right. But
Hey, remember when we were talking about judges and everything though? When it happened to that guy that was, committing adultery with that princess or whatever? Like, he went in there and took care of it that minute. Right there.
Phineas did. But do you know who Phineas was? Pinchas was the son of
Wasn't he a
Eleazar.
Levite?
He was the son of Eleazar. He was a Levite.
Aaron.
He was Aharon's grandson. So he stood up and he did exactly what y'all said.
That's right. Immediately.
And the witnesses were sitting all about. They all saw it. It says
They were all
before.
blinded, I guess.
No, it says before the eyes of everyone sitting there mourning and praying to Yah, they went into the tent. They knew exactly why they went into the tent. But guys, How many people are willing to stand up and do what is right?
Not that many.
There are not that many.
Repercussions.
But Phineas, Pincus, he stood up and he killed a prince and a princess. And what happened? The plague was stopped. So, I mean, we can sit back, you can hide your eyes, and you can allow sin to go on about you, or you can speak up. But in today's world, unfortunately, there is not a court system.
We're in a dispersion.
We're still in the dispersion, but there's not a court system that will uphold justice today.
Very biased.
Okay, Valerie.
It's rare.
It is very rare.
Verse 21. Do not tread down a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Mizraim. Do not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you do afflict them at all, if they cry out to me at all, I shall certainly hear their cry. And my wrath shall burn, and I shall kill you with a sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If you do lend silver to any of my people, the poor among you, you are not to be like the one that lends on interest to him. Do not lay interest on him, on the brother.
What? So if I
Don't charge interest.
if I come to Dennis and say, Dennis, would you lend me $100? And I come back to pay him, and he says, you owe me $120. What did he just do?
Charge you interest. He says not to.
Shame on you,
I
brother.
know.
Shame on. That's right. So if we're lending to one another, we can't charge each other interest. We
One
can't do
brother
it.
to another brother.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
So you can do it with
Other people.
other people?
if they're not anyone
Charge
who's
them all the interest you want.
that's right. If they're not covenanted, they're not a brother. They're not walking the walk with you. So if they're not covenanted, and I'm not talking about just in your small little group, like our group is small. If they're outside the group, yet they're still a brother, you still can charge them.
Right.
But if it is a stranger who is not covenanted, yeah, brother, I'll lend you $100. It'll cost you $125 when you come back.
200.
You gotta tell them like that. That way they know the risk involved and all that stuff before, they lend it.
Like any other contract.
They get the
Yep. It would be a legal binding contract. Okay.
Verse 26. If you take your neighbor's garment as a pledge at all, you are to return it to him before the sun goes down. For that is his only covering. It is his garment for his skin. What does he sleep in? And it shall be that when he cries to me, I shall hear, for I show favor. Do not revile an Elohim, little e, nor curse a ruler of your people. Do not delay giving your harvest and your vintage. Give me the firstborn of your sons. Likewise you are to do with your oxen, with your sheep. It is to be with its mother 7 days. On the 8th day you give it to me.
Guys, what else happens on the 8th day? Look at Leviticus 12:3. What else occurs on the 8th day? When was Yeshua?
circumcision.
That's right. Leviticus 12:3. Aye.
So they don't give that. They're gonna have to kill that baby ox or whatever. They're not gonna, cause they can't bottle feed it after 8 days anymore. They take it away from the mama. So it's gonna be a sacrifice.
It's going to be a sacrifice. So in verse 3 of Leviticus 12, it says, on the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin is circumcised. So when you have a male child, on the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin is circumcised. And what have they discovered in science and medical?
That it-
8:3?
Leviticus 12:3.
12:3.
That it says that the blood is at the highest, that it will clot, so that there's no much bleeding.
The vitamin K is at the highest level on day 8 in an infant. And so when that circumcision is done, fast clotting, fast healing, Yah is perfect in all of his commands, guys. There's nothing that he leaves to chance.
Nothing.
Nothing. It's just perfection. Excuse me.
And we just think that all of these things are just kind of no importance anymore. But there is. I mean, there is a reason that he set these in place. And his word is from Genesis to Revelation. He said in Malachi
Sorry.
that change not. And then in Hebrews 13:8, Yeshua says, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yes.
Change not. So, he doesn't take it out just because it's back then.
No, it doesn't.
It's the same.
It is exactly the same.
That's gonna be a little bitty sacrifice for it to be killed on the 8th day. For it to be a little lamb or a little sheep.
But look, it's
Be
the first.
perfect.
It's the first perfect thing that has opened the womb. Valerie, would you take over for just a second? I'm gonna go.
How far do you want me to read on to 23? Okay, I'm in verse 31 of chapter 22. And you are set apart, men, to me, and you do not eat any meat which is torn to pieces in the field. You throw it to the dogs. So if it's improperly killed, you can't eat it because it causes damage to the meat itself. He's very specific about that. And you know, this day and time, we just don't listen to that. Okay, chapter 23, verse 1. Do not bring a false report. Do not put your hand with the wrong to be a malicious witness. He's saying don't bring a false report against anyone. Don't gossip. Don't say things. Verse 2, do not follow a crowd to do evil, nor bear witness in a strife, so as to turn aside after many, to turn aside what is right.
Sorry about that, guys. I've got signs. Hold on just a second, Valerie. I want to pull up some verses here.
Okay.
Guys, the story about the woman who committed adultery.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there, Charles?
They didn't have no witnesses. They didn't even take the man.
No, they didn't. Let's look at that really quick. It is, Matthew 26, 59,
And a lot
I
of people
believe.
claim that was added onto scriptures.
Yep.
But it is following Hebraic law or biblical law as well.
Yeah, that's what he's. I like the theory that's probably what you're
Wow, that's not where it is.
in the sand is. You didn't bring man.
That was fine.
Where's the witnesses?
Guys, do y'all know where that particular... Let me see what this one is.
Let he who was without sin cast the first stone. Who's not lying? You don't cast the first stone. That's the witness. Cast the first stone anyway. It's all Torah.
Yeah, I think I got this wrong the last time that I did this.
You
Does
can
anybody know
change
the
it.
verse where this is?
I do not recall.
I know where it is on the page.
I had John 8.
Is it John? I believe you're right.
John 8:7.
In his notes.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I'm going to read this really quick because this is exactly what Valerie just read to y'all. In John 8, verse 3, and the scribes and Pharisees brought him a woman, him being Yahusha, caught in adultery, and having set her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. Okay, hold on just a second. How many people does it take to commit adultery?
2.
2. They brought just the woman.
She was with an animal.
Well, they would have brought both. The ox or the donkey or whatever.
They both get stoned.
And they'd both be stoned. And in the Torah, Moshe commanded as that such should be stoned. What do you say? And this they said trying him. Why were they trying him? They were testing him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know. Do they not know
Well, they should.
that it takes 2 to 3 witnesses? And that is established in Deuteronomy 17:6. Is anybody there by chance?
Deuteronomy what?
17:6. In 17:6, this is what it says. At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall he that is to die be put to death, and he is not put to death by the mouth of 1 witness. So if there's just 1 witness, guess what? You get off scot-free because nobody saw you commit that crime. I'm not saying that you can go and commit a crime because of that.
But that witness does need to raise awareness so that if it happens again, people can keep an eye on it.
Yes, but there can be no conviction. There can be no there's no proof unless there's 2 or 3 witnesses. But if you are there saying, "Hey, this person just did this," then you need to do that. I mean, you have to.
We're watching the next time.
Yes. And so that was a farce. They brought her to him, and it's like Charles said, we don't know what he scribbled in the sand, but he bent down and he's scribbling, and he says, "You have cast the first stone." He may have been writing. Who are the witnesses here? Who is accusing this
Well,
woman?
he basically did say who were the witnesses. You without sin, you're not telling a false witness. Go and cast the first stone.
There you go. Well, and listen,
And why didn't
The-
you take him to the judges?
but
You didn't
listen,
to me, you didn't take him to the judges.
the false witnesses get stoned.
Yeah.
You were trying to get her stoned. That's what they brought her. They brought this adulterous woman to Yahusha with the hopes that he would stone her. What happens to the false witness?
So,
They get exactly what they were trying to cause
and that's what they were trying
on
to
this
do.
person. So they know.
They skedaddled out of there before they.
He looked up and he's like, "Whoa, where did your accusers go?"
Anyway, they would have had to take him to the system that was in place.
They would have, but they were. Listen, he was in line to be a high priest. Don't y'all think they knew this? He was in the lineage to be a high priest. So
He was threatening their authority,
yes, he was.
and they didn't.
And they wanted to entrap him some way,
Yes.
somehow, and it always failed for them.
Okay, who wants to read? Charles, do you feel like reading? Okay, we are not sick. We have got Mountain Cedar. Come on,
That
Jerome.
dog
Huh?
tried to take me with him.
So Charles tried to rescue a dying dog, which everybody says he was actually already dead. But what a heart to try to save a dog, and its dander and its hair and
I did
everything
not
came
realize
off.
how allergic to dogs I was till I was covered in hair and dander for a few hours.
So he's not feeling well
Poor
today.
pup.
He's a wimp. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, man, it did.
Okay, we are in chapter 23, verse 3 of Exodus.
Exodus
Mm-hmm.
23, verse 3, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do not favor a poor man in his strife. When you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him.
Wait, what? Who? If you meet who's ox or an
Your enemies.
enemy? Did y'all hear that, guys? It doesn't matter if you like these people. They could be. You could be like that. They are the worst neighbor I've ever had. But listen, if you see their puppy, their chicken, their
And that happened actually to
Cow.
us because we have a neighbor we don't get along with. But she loves dogs, so when we have a dog go over to her house, she'll bring it to us. And actually, I think that's improving our relationship too.
Did you hear what happens? So if it's an enemy, someone that you don't like the way maybe they play their music too loud, or maybe you don't like the way they
What happened
treat
between
their-
us is that her husband got onto us for shooting guns in our property.
We're airing our dirty laundry. Okay,
So, I mean, I'm not naming no names,
Yeah.
but I'm just giving you what happened. You know what happens amongst neighbors.
it's crazy things that happen amongst neighbors, and then they're like, we don't like you, and we're going to cause you problems and make it difficult for you to go shoot
And
at.
it was like it was okay for them to vent after their.
But these were borrowed guns, right? They weren't.
No,
guns
there
you-
are guns. No, well, okay, we lost them in those days. No, I'm not gonna even talk to you about
You
that
know,
subject.
there's HR 127, right?
I'm not even gonna bring up that subject, but it's most people think it's okay for them to vent out their aggression, their what they feel like is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, when you tell them something, they don't want to hear it and they'll get all offended.
That's
That's
right.
what happened between us too. They have they breed hound dogs, so they have over 12 dogs, and they'll bark all night. And I have to wake up early in the morning sometimes, and they'll be barking all night. And
No
it's hard to
wonder
sleep.
y'all look
So I'll
tired.
call them. I would call them and I tell them, hey man, your dog is barking way too much. You need to move him somewhere else in the property. We're not making too much noise for us. And he got all offended and hung the phone up. But yeah, when he gets, when he's mad over something, he wants to tell us how it is, and I listen.
Okay, so
Making some food.
we've got issues that cause strife between neighbors. And listen, they may not necessarily even be a neighbor. They may be someone who's a leader in your community, and you may not agree with how they're leading the community. It could be anyone that you consider an enemy. Listen, it could be a city councilman that has come up with some ridiculous laws that you totally don't agree with. You don't like them. You don't like the way they're doing anything. But yet, if you find their cow out on the road, like this man's cow was out on the road before that woman hit it, then you should shoo the cow back in, or at least call them and say, hey, you got a cow out.
Not only are you helping your neighbor, you're also helping the people that are passing through that road that could hit it and get injured.
That's right. Back in these days, you couldn't be going too fast because if you hit it, you're probably going to be on foot.
But
I
yeah,
was running down the road and I ran into a cow.
But some people are, everyone's seeing fear, and in those times, if you're on foot, that cow could pretty much go and target you. You know what I mean? And if you don't fear it, and you can shoo it away, you're going to save somebody's life.
That's right, guys. I do want to bring up something. Do not bring a false report. While we're going through this, Valerie read that. That was the very first one. Do you know what that really means? I mean, it's being a false witness, but it would be. I think Charles or Valerie, one of y'all mentioned it. It's gossip. It's gossiping, because that is stirring what? Strife amongst your. Listen, if we were all gossips in here, which we aren't. I mean, we're like, I don't know what they're doing.
And the sad part about gossip is you always bring up the worst in people. Instead of bringing out, oh, they're very good in people and this and that, no, you're bringing in the worst. That, oh, they were drinking last night, doing this and that, and they're always bringing up the worst.
Well, and gossip is usually false. Look at Proverbs 6:19. And basically what it's saying here is, these are 6 things that Yah hates. The 6 matters Yahweh hates. 7 are an abomination to him. This is called an abomination. A proud look. Are you arrogant? A lying tongue. Hands shedding innocent blood. A heart devising wicked schemes. Feet quick to run to evil. A false witness. Breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers. Guys, this is one of those things that he finds is an abomination, because once you speak something about someone and it comes out of your mouth, can you reel it back in or take it back? You can't. Once it's said, the damage has been done, and there should be reparation made. But Yah says, do not bring a false report. So if you think of opening your mouth and speaking without knowing for sure, and really, I'm going to tell you something. Even if you know it to be fact, keep your mouth shut. If you need to go talk to someone, go to the person.
That's right.
Go to Jerome and say, Jerome, I hear you were on a binge last night. Like running down the road, screaming and blowing your shofar. What was going on?
I felt the spirit.
So you were shooting your guns and blowing your shofar. So guys, if you got an issue with someone, don't go to the other person and say, did you hear what Jerome was accused of doing last night? Go to Jerome, and then you find out he had the spirit. He was like outside.
I felt good.
Or maybe he didn't do it at all. He'd be like, are you kidding? Mom, where was I last night? You were home barbecuing.
I was home reading my Bibles.
Read your scripture, because it was Shabbat.
Everything gets Second Amendment right.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Is that only with a brother or with anybody?
That's with anyone. You do not false.
Anybody.
You do not tell or spread false reports with anyone.
Because that's going to give you a bad name too. Like this person here talks about everybody's back, behind everybody's back, so they're gonna be less trusting in you.
Yeah,
and not telling you that much stuff, because you're just gonna go and gossip a bit.
That's right. You're like, they want to know how I'm doing. I'm not telling them, because they're gonna twist everything. Okay, keep going. You're doing great.
Where was I?
So 10 quick.
So the ox is right. 5. When you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him.
That's repeated twice. That's how important it is. Someone that may be your enemy, it's like Jerome said, even if they're your enemy and you reach out to try to help them, sometimes it changes your heart. Okay.
Do not turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife. That number 5 reminds me again where even Yahushua, our Savior, was telling them, does not the Samaritan even, repay evil with evil? So we got to repay evil with good so we can, squash all that.
That's it. To try to change the hearts. Mm-hmm. Try to change the heart.
So 6, do not turn aside the right ruling of the poor in his strife. Keep yourself far from false matters, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I do not declare the wrong right. And do not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the seeing one, and twists the words of the righteous. And do not oppress a sojourner, as you yourself know the heart of a sojourner, because you were sojourners in the land of Mizraim.
I say, so guys, these are the mixed multitude, the sojourners. Look at Leviticus. Valerie, can you pull up Leviticus 19:34, and I'm going to pull up Deuteronomy 10:18.
Okay, Leviticus 19:34.
Yes, ma'am.
That the stranger who dwells among you be as to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Mizraim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim.
So the strangers that are sojourning among you are probably practicing to be a brother.
That's right.
So treat them right. And in Deuteronomy 10:18 it says, he executes right ruling for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and garment. Guys, we got a lot of changing to do, don't we?
Yep.
I mean,
We need a lot of refining.
we do. We're as we walk this walk of Torah, of being observant to his commandments, and it's like Valerie said, that have not changed and will not change.
No.
Not until, what does Yeshua say in Matthew 5? When does he say they're going to change? When there's no more heaven and earth.
Yeah, I know that.
That's what he says. He says,
And-
I'm going to read this really quick. He says, do not think that I came to destroy the Torah, which is in the instructions, the law, or the prophets, because I did not come to destroy, but to complete them, to show you how to walk them out. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, not one yod or one tittle shall by any means pass from the Torah till all be done. All is not done, y'all, guys. It's not done. When the heavens and the earth pass away, they'll never pass away. Where does the kingdom come down to? Here? Here. This is where the kingdom's going to be.
Not there. Here.
Not there. So will it ever pass away? No. The law will be forever. And when we're in the kingdom, guess what? That law is what holds everything. Everything together. And we're actually going to hit that in a little bit in the latter part of this. Go ahead.
I mean, that,
Okay, the thing is, when we are following these instructions, it conforms us to be like Yeshua.
Yes.
And that's what we're striving to do, for people to see Yeshua in us.
Well, you know what? With you saying that, let's look at John 1:1.
Yeah.
Let's just look there really quick. And we're probably fixing a break. And because I'm seeing people starting to
Yeah.
nod off. In John
John 1:1?
1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word is capitalized. Who is the Word?
Yeshua.
Yeah.
Yeshua is the Word. Yahusha is the Word. And the Word was with Elohim. Who was with Elohim in the beginning? Yahusha. And the Word was Elohim. And he was in the beginning with Elohim, and all came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be in him. And let's see here. There's some more here. Skip on down to 14. And it says, and the Word became flesh, pitched his tent, and his tent is his body, pitched his tent among us, and we saw his esteem as of an only brought forth of a Father, complete in favor and truth. That is our Savior, guys. That is Yahusha, and goes right along with what you're saying.
it also reminds me of in Revelations where it says, may the righteous remain righteous, and may the ones that are, evil remain evil, and wicked remain wicked, and stuff like that too. So
Yes.
the righteous are definitely seeking his ways, while the evil will seek evil.
Guys, what we're seeing is a separation of the sheep and the goats. The sheep are becoming more observant of his commands, more willing to obey his commands. He doesn't have to, well, he may have to take his rod out and pop a few of us. When he comes back as a king, he's coming back as a ruling, reigning king, and he will have a rod of iron.
He's going to teach us the true ways of harmony.
Yes, he will, one way or the other, right? So as sheep, and I have sheep, and I am a shepherdess, kind of weird. Got two little orphan sheep right now, but as a shepherdess, I'm responsible for them, and I have to push them and make them do what they're supposed to do to keep them out of danger. And that's what Yahusha does with us. He is our shepherd. So it's a beautiful view of him. Okay, where are we? Would you read all the way down to through 19? Wait, let me see something. We may be able to go. We may, yeah. Where's
Damn.
Yeah, we're in 10.
at 10? Go ahead and read down through 19, and then we're going to stop and we'll finish the rest of this afternoon after we finish lunch.
Alrighty. So here is Exodus 23:10. And for 6 years you are to sow your land, and shall gather its increase. But the 7th year you are to let it rest, and shall leave it, and the poor of your people shall eat. What they leave, the beasts of the field eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive yard. 6 days you are to do your work, and on the 7th day you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the sons of your female servant and the sojourners be refreshed.
Hold on just a second. 7th day you rest. Does it say you get to pick your 7th day?
Nope.
What is the 7th day? And this has never changed. As far back as we can go, over 2,000 years, 2,300 years, the first day of the week is when?
Sunday.
Sunday. When's the 7th day of the week?
Today.
Shabbat. This day of the week, and live streamers, if you don't understand this, you need to hear and you need to study and you need to figure this out and get it right. Because today is the Sabbath. Today is Shabbat.
And it's a sign between him and his people forever.
That is what Leviticus tells us. This is his sign between him and his children.
His chosen people
Yes. His
will
elect.
inherit the earth.
So that is his sign. So we need to get this right. And listen, I'm not saying that if you're going to church on Sunday that you've got to stop going to church on Sunday, but I am going to tell you that if you want to spend time with the Creator, the day he has set aside to have a date with each and every one of you, including me, is today. And it is beautiful, and it is restful, and it is the most blessed day of the week. And it's a day we don't do anything but spend with him and study his word. We come together and we eat and we study and we talk about Yah and we talk about the miracles that we're seeing him do. And guys, in this group, we are seeing miracles. They are beautiful. When your eyes are open and you can see the miracles going on about you, it's amazing. It just solidifies. It solidifies the word in your heart.
And we feel a more intimate connection than anybody else because we can actually speak truth to one another without getting offended and with, growing and being better people.
That's exactly right.
Because I mean,
We're sharpening each other.
Mhm.
I mean, we're sharing what we're learning. Except for Charles today, and
I share.
he's on the dead dog bounce over there. But we're sharing what we're learning, and we're sharpening each other's skills. Valerie.
Well, he started in the very front of the book in Genesis, telling us that in chapter 2, verse 1 says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their array. And in the 7th day Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And
Okay.
he blessed the 7th day and set it apart."
Okay, and guys, I want to correct something here because in the scriptures, it's got it wrong on the 7th day. Janice, read from Genesis in
Sefer.
not in the Sefer,
Peshita.
in the Peshitta. And this guys is not the Masoretic text. It's a Samaritan.
Is it the Aramaic? Yeah,
It's the
Samaritan.
Aramaic Samaritan text. But what it says is that he finished his work on the 6th day, and on the 7th day he rested. So we kind of cleared this up last week.
That's right, I forgot
So-
about that.
so
But
I'm-
it does say that the 7th day is the,
Yes,
Yeah,
it
'cause
does
he-
say that the 7th day is the Sabbath, and there is order to everything that Yahusha does and that Yahuwah does. Did you find it, Dennis? I'm sorry, I put you on the spot there.
Genesis what?
2, 1, and 2.
It is 2, 1, and 2. I should have told you that.
Well, I know that. I'm just trying
Let me turn
to
this
find
up.
it in here.
Oh, but also the Shabbat, it tells you right there, like she said in Genesis 2, in chapter 2, that it was made for all of creation, not just for the Jews, not just for the Israelites, for all of creation, for your donkeys, for your horses, for your oxen.
That's what
for
you just read.
For everybody around.
Okay, Dennis.
And then the sixth day Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done.
So in the original Peshitta, it was he finished his work on the sixth day, not the seventh. And so I wanted to clear that up. Valerie?
Well, it says, and in the seventh day, Elohim it means that he had already completed his work.
Well, people get confused on that verse, and
I
that's
know
why
that people
we're
would, but
that's why we're going back to the original.
Did it say he had completed?
No, it said he
That's what it
completed
said.
it on the seventh, and that's not
But
right.
I can see where it means what it means.
Yes.
But if you're not really versed in it, you wouldn't understand
Yes.
it. You would say, well, we're still working
If
on
you-
the seventh.
If you go technical, and I've had many people go technical on me and go, well, this says he's still working on the seventh day, and then he completed it on the seventh. Not so. If we go back to the very, very, very original,
In the sixth
it
day.
says he completed it in the sixth day and on the seventh. As soon as the seventh started, he was resting. And guys, this is
Well,
what
it goes
we're.
on to say that in verse 3.
Uh huh.
And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart because on it he rested from all his work,
Mm-hmm.
which Elohim and so he says he
So,
rested from all of it.
There's no confusion in Scripture. There was confusion in the translation
Exactly.
of Scripture. Okay.
One little word.
So the Sabbath is. Listen, whenever you see guard His commandments and keep the Sabbath, keep the Sabbath set apart and holy. Guard His commands and keep the Sabbath set apart and holy. He always sets that aside. Listen, guys. If Yeshua is a door to the kingdom, and the door represents the Dalet, which is the fourth alphabet. It's the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The Dalet is the door.
And they
It's
also
the door to the kingdom, and that is our Messiah, and we can't forget that. So the fourth commandment is honor the Sabbath and keep it holy.
which is
So
the door. Huh?
it is the door. So if you want to spend time with Yah, you better do it on Shabbat. Today's the Shabbat. This is open kingdom.
Sadly, most people on this day would rather play sports or rather, be with friends, drinking and talking about worldly things and talking about spiritual
That's what the
things.
enemy has set up.
And it's
The enemy has so set it up. And listen, guys, if you want to know who actually started the Sunday Sabbath, I challenge you to go into the Catholic Church and look at what they say about what is the sign between them and their followers. The ones who also say, oh, go bow to the Mother Mary and pray to her. You have to come to me to be absolved of your sins. That's what they tell you. You have to go to a priest to be absolved. So go into their writings, because I'm not going to tell you verbatim what they said. Go into them and see what they said makes them have authority over. Listen, they say they've got authority over the scriptures, because guess what? Everybody in the whole world follows their verdict of, we're going to honor. Yeah, the Sabbath is actually Saturday. It's the seventh day, but we're going to honor it on Sunday because that's what we worship, the sun God. Is that another Elohim? It is. And it's a little E Elohim. It is not Abba, Yah, that we worship. Okay? So wake up, and get it right, because if you don't, you may not make it into the kingdom. Because it's this set of rules that will get you. It's the pathway to the kingdom, guys. This is the set of rules that will get you there. Walking like Yeshua. Where are we? Everything's ready, isn't it? Okay. Let's go ahead and stop.
Are we going to eat right now? Or?
We are.
Oh. Did you turn? I think we
He's
need
hungry.
We need to turn on the crock pot though. That's what's happening. Hopefully it's still warm.
He's hungry.
I
Okay, so
think we're in 12, right? 6 days. Start to work.
Okay, so we're going to come back. We're going to start with chapter 23, verse 12, and we'll finish our Torah portion. And guys, when we finish that, for those of you who may be just joining us, we're going to do something kind of special, and I think it's very necessary today. We're going to go into the Et Sefer, into the second book of Ezra, and we're going to go over exactly what what the let me tell you something. The second book of Ezra was included in the canonized scriptures. Who took it out?
The Roman Catholic had a little to do
Oi!
that too.
Guys,
Maybe
listen. They have so distorted so much in our relationship with Yah. They've stolen so much. The enemy has come in to kill and to steal and to destroy.
He said they had authority over the scripture, and they did remove books, and we're learning so much about the removed books now that
That's
makes
right.
everything make more sense.
And second Ezra, listen, everyone wants to know today because everyone's losing loved ones. Everyone wants to know what happens. What happens when you die or when
Oh, they're in heaven looking down on us. You didn't
listen,
know.
guys, they're not up in heaven. I was told when my mother died, whoa, she and your dad are up there. They're square dancing. And all I could
And they're
think
looking after
of
you.
was, Father, please, let there be more. Let there be more to the kingdom than that.
I mean, you don't
That
even
is-
see
that is
in
as far
scripture, you know?
From the truth as you could. Hey, Bill Vettel. That's as far from the truth, not Bill Vettel.
The sad,
We're glad you found us too.
the sad thing about that doctrine is it leads to ancestry worship, where you'll make shrines and everything to your ancestors and then pray to them instead of praying to Abba, our Heavenly Father. So you're putting your loved ones who passed away above our Heavenly Father. And these people, I mean, this is from ancient ways, back in even in Hinduism and different cultures, including the Catholic, who make altars to the dead ones as
Guys,
well.
everything that is outside Scripture is the ways of the enemy, and we've got to guard against it. So if it's not in Scripture, it's not here. But the thing is that what we're going to be getting into this evening is Second Ezra, the book of Second Ezra. It was canonized up until the 1600s in the Geneva Bible and up until the 1800s in the King James. So that is where we're going to go this evening. And we're going to pray out. I smell food everywhere, and I hear stomachs rumbling, especially mine. My apologies. But Dennis, would you pray us out? And guys, listen, we are coming back for the second part. And I know that this doesn't get into excitement and it's not thrilling, but we are going to get some thrilling things in 23 towards the end, in 24. But it's all about the obedience that heals our nation and the disobedience that brings judgment on our nation. And guys, listen, live streamers, we're under judgment right now. We're under judgment because we've turned our back on His ways. We've turned our back on His instructions for us to live the perfect life. And nobody wants to hear it because there's going to be a remnant. There's going to be nothing but a remnant left. That remnant. Dennis, would you pray us out, my friend? Doug.
Abba, Father, we just thank you for this beautiful Shabbat, Father, where we can come together and just seek and study your word, Father, and be those children that you've called us to be, Father. Well, Father, we thank you for Vicky, and we thank you for being able, through technology, just to live stream and reach out to a variety of people, anybody that's willing to follow us and listen, Father, and we just pray for strength, Father, that we can be obedient to your word, Father, and when judgment does come, Father, that we hear a good, faithful servant, not, I do not know you. We just pray for strength, Father, and we pray for all those that are battling COVID and just health issues in general, Father. We lift up families and we lift our nation up, Father. It's just such a mess, Father. But we love you and we thank you most of all for your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, and it is in the authority of his name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. What a good prayer. What a good prayer. Okay, so we want to thank everyone who joined us today. Glad, Bill, that you finally located us. He's a little slow. Oh, did you see that? I'm back. I've got an issue with my thing here. Jonathan, shalom. How are you? Love you, friend. So, guys, listen, we're gonna close that for right now. You came in on the end, Jonathan, like I do with yours. I've got to figure out what's wrong with my Discord, because my Discord never tells me when it's time to come on class. So I've got to fix that. But shalom, Shabbat shalom to everyone on board. We are going to be gone for about 30 minutes. We've got pizza. What else we have? Kosher pizza.
All kinds of stuff.
We got goodies from everything. So we're going to go grab a bite. We want to bless everyone that has come live streaming with us, and we look forward to seeing y'all in a little bit when we come back to finish up the second portion of his commandments. And guys, we're going to close out that second portion, and then we're going to come back with the third. So the second portion is going to be really short, but the third portion, we're going to go into the second book of Ezra. And guys, again, you're not going to want to miss that, because we're going to talk about exactly what happens. Biblically, exactly what happens when we die. And I think this is very important today. Very important, especially for Valerie. Okay? So we love you. Shabbat shalom. Shalom. Everybody, Shabbat shalom. Everybody saying bye. 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 Oh, we've got pretzels. Hi. Shalom, and we will see you shortly.